Yo, what's good guys, VENM Fire here back in another video, and today me bringing you guys what I think is one of the most overpowered run offenses in Madden 21. The formation we are in today is going to be the single back wing sack out of the New Orleans Saints offensive playbook. Now, this isn't a couple of other playbooks, but none are as good as the Saints playbook. Yes, I'm using the Giants, but this is the Saints offense. Sometimes people get confused by that, but Saints offense very good this year. It's very underrated. There's a lot of good formations that just don't get used because it's not one of the metas, as well as running the ball is not really too popular this year, but it is still very effective. Just because a lot of the people are passing does not mean that the run is bad in any way, shape, or form. Nobody's even really found a main run defense yet. So in the wing stack, you have a stretch, you have a dive, and this formation is very similar to the wing flex close, but it might actually be a little bit better. Now myself, I prefer the wing flex close, but this one, they're just different in different ways. So setting our audibles, I got stretch, dive, tight end spot, and PA double in shot. There's a couple of other good plays. This curl post drag has a pretty good post route, that man beater, as well as the spot stick has a good corner route. So again, there's a couple of plays I'm not going to talk about that are still decent out of the offense. So again, go try this out yourself if this looks interesting. So let's just come straight out in the offense. I'm going to start out with the stretch. I feel like it's sort of the main play of the formation. I'm just going to be going against a random 3-4 odd play. Now 3-4 odd, it's not really a run defense. Like I mentioned, nobody's necessarily found run defense per se. Everybody's just sort of coming out in these heavy sets and hoping that doing different adjustments to stop the run. So 3-4 odd, here we are out on the field. You notice that I'm on the right hash mark. I want my receivers to the wide side, usually always. The reason for that is my favorite way to run the stretch is just to simply flip my run and run it to this left-hand side. You will notice, look at the amazing blocks right there. The only man to beat is going to be that safety. Saquon Barkley does have that juke box ability, but even if he didn't, you're picking up 10 yards. If you're using a 70 overall running back, you're picking up 10 yards on that. And it's just very easy. You can see I can either cut it up the numbers, or I can go outside of the numbers. And again, really does not matter. The other thing you could do is last year I would always motion this outside guy out of wing flex close and the other formations. But I actually like motioning this player now because he's not going to get shadowed. The defense won't automatically shift to the left. And look how fast he's going to motion. He's sort of going to sprint over, and then you can snap the ball. He picks up a block, and it's a lot easier to cut it inside after that happens, which is the reason why. And because the motion is so fast, it's very difficult to adjust to that. Maybe shift your defense to the left, but you see how slow Evan Ingram is. You can definitely get some adjustments off. But again, the blocking relatively the same when you motion Evan Ingram, but when you motion that inside tight end, I've noticed that I've got a lot, bigger gaps to just run upfield, go downhill, rather than having to simply just attack outside every time I run the stretch. And again, even if they do get a block shed, even if they have a extremely good user to bring you down, this is still a 5 yards, 4 yards of play type thing. Look at the just absolute huge hole that we got from our O-line and receivers blocking. And for whatever reason, the blocks do develop very effectively out of this scheme, which is something that makes it so well. So again, you just motion him over. He's going to pick up that outside linebacker. Even with probably the worst run stick of my life, we pick up 30 yards, which is definitely a good sign. But that's only stretched to that side. You could also run it to the right-hand side, to the tight end side. Now, look at the blocks right there against that 3-4 odd. Very good as far as that's concerned. Now, I've just noticed that it's a lot easier to shoot the run gap on the right-hand side with the user rather than the left. That's the reason that I mainly like to run to the right-hand side. But look at that. You can still get, really, really good blocks. You see I'm able to get outside very effectively. And against a symmetrical formation, this might not be the worst idea. Sometimes people, if they're in a nickel, they really might put their nickel cornerback on that left-hand side. And really what that will do is it'll just open up this side. You see the tight end. As long as he makes that one-on-one block, we're going to get 10 yards every single time. And I know that is a low overall tight end, so we will whiff on his block. But even though that happens, you can still have the option to just cut it to the left side of him and inside. And you're pretty much on all these run plays, you're one juke move, one move away from scoring a touchdown, which is really all you can ask for with a run formation and run play. Now, like I mentioned, the wing flex close, you can't ever motion the slot cornerback in. But with the wing slot, or wing stack, excuse me, you can motion both of those wide receivers in. So if I wanted to, I could always motion Golden Tate up. But you see the blocking is actually worse when I do that. In the only case when I would do that is if maybe they were running a nickel on the right side. But if they were, then typically I would just flip it like this. Not only can you motion Tate over, you can also motion Shepard over, but with Shepard, you can't sort of spam A on that left side. You have to wait for him to get to the right. You see, we just fell on nothing, but we had a touchdown if we didn't fall. That's the thing. Even if I wanted to run stretch to this left side, I could actually do some weird thing like motion Tate in. If I wanted to just straight cut up field, you see the blocks weren't developed perfectly there, but again, it gives you more options to do with the motion. Anyways, let's hop into the dive now. Now again, I'm going to spend more time on these run plays than the passes because the passes aren't used too much out of this. You only pass on third downs if you really have to. But with halfback dive, I like to motion Evan Ingram over. I'm going to motion him like this, and then I'm just going to spam A to snap the ball as soon as I can. Look at the blocks developing up the field. Very effective. And for whatever reason, that motion is very good. That's the same motion that I talked about in the halfback dive out of the wing flex close formation and the wing slot. You just motion that outside tight end. You spam A, and he's going to just, for whatever reason, I just get better blocking when I do that. I'm not sure if it's anything special, but even if I just run it stock, you see the blocking just looks a little bit worse. And I'm not sure the reasoning, but you can tell sometimes there's just a difference, and this could also be a tell, so be careful about motioning him over, necessarily every single time. But if you wanted to sort of get rid of that tell, what you could do is just run stretch and then continue to motion him over, spam A, and he'll just block like that. So that's a good way to sort of get rid of the tell so that your opponent doesn't run commit up middle when he knows you're running dive or whatever the case is. Not only do you have to motion Ingram, you can also motion over this guy. Again, it is a quicker motion, but again, I prefer Evan Ingram on the dive specifically for the stretch. I prefer that player. But again, you want to sort of just mix them both up. It's not going to be too terrible, but I just definitely feel like the blocks just develop better up the middle. When I motion Evan Ingram over, again, it's not necessarily a specific block that he's picking up, but it is just sort of the thing that happens. Like, look, I just feel like it's a walking 5-yard run play. Now, again, with halfback dive, you can't really expect to pick up these 20-yard run plays. Really, you're just expecting to pick up the 5 yards up the middle, but occasionally you can actually like bounce it out or do certain things if you have the space. But again, it's risky because you can get shedded and you can get brought down in the backfield. So be careful with that, I will say. Also with dive this year, you can actually run it to both sides, so I can run it to the left side if I want to and still have the same fast animation. That's a really good fix by EA that they did. They made it so halfback dive is the same speed running it to the left side or the right side. And sometimes when I run to the left, I notice that the blocks develop better. You saw that play. I had a bigger hole up the middle, and I'm able to cut it to the left side. So if I notice the left side's open, I can just flip my dive, and I will have more space to attack that without getting shedded or brought down. So those are just a couple of points. Obviously, if I wanted to mix it in, I could still, motion Tate in maybe like this on the dive, give a sort of a jet sweep look. But again, when you motion him over there, for whatever reason, the wide receiver motion blocking this year on run plays is very terrible. So he really just motions over, doesn't do anything. But again, it's sort of the principle of the thing. Make him think you're running stretch, and maybe the middle opens up. But that's pretty much it for our 2 run plays, stretch and dive. Again, very, very good plays. Let's hop into tight end spot. Now, tight end spot, it's actually one of my favorite red zone plays out of the Saints playbook. I've been running this play for years out of the Saints playbook, and every time I've run the Saints playbook, this is my go-to play in the red zone. Pretty much, you just have tons of good routes. You have this zig route that'll beat man coverage. You have this that'll beat man coverage, and then you also have against zone. It's very good. You have this spot route that gets in between zones really well. You have this table route in case he's just playing very over the top, or maybe he forgets to man up your running back, whatever. Then you also have this dig route that'll be in the back of the end zone. Now, obviously, I'm not at the 10-yard line, or the 5-yard line, but it's still a very good play to run on maybe, you know, a 3rd down and 5 or a 2nd down and 1, just to mix it in. It's not meant to be a down the field beater type play, but again, my adjustments, all I like to do is really smart route A to get that corner out deeper. And again, if you are in the red zone, you don't have to, but look at that, just spot route, just sit in the middle of the field. A lot of times with those hook curl zone drops, people do play them very over the top, so if he's not manned up, or even if he is manned up, that route usually gets wide open. But look at the dig route. It's also just going to be pretty much open every single play. That dig route beats man coverage as well as zone coverage very effectively. So make sure that you mix in that dig route a lot. Obviously, you have the zig wide open every time. Be careful about the zigs. I have thrown picks before on zig routes, not that zig route in particular, but they actually do get lurked very well. Like you saw, that was a lot closer throw than it had to have been, so just try and lowball it as fast as you can. Never bullet past this zig route this year. That's definitely a key tip in my opinion, just because cornerbacks do be catching the ball through wide receivers this year. But again, you see the dig routes open every single time. You see that table routes open every time. And you see the spot route. Again, if they are rushing 4 people, it's going to be difficult for them to defend it. And that's the good thing. That's really what you want, because you want them to commit to blitzing a lot of people. With the run, you're going to get them in a run defense. You're going to get them blitzing 7 people. And that's just going to create pretty much all of these passes wide open. Even late in the play, I can check down to my table and pick up a 5. So again, just absolutely dominant play. Let's move into our last play of the video. Again, there are still some good plays in this scheme that I'm not going to talk about, but again, you can go to practice mode yourself, check them out. Again, that little corner out, that post curl, whatever the play is called. But last year out of this PA double in shot, there was a cover 2 beater with this player. You could sort of motion him over and like motion hike him, and he would have, you see how he's on that sort of delay streak at first. For some reason, it doesn't work this year. Of course, EA always patching my plays, but it is what it is. The other way I like to run this is turn it into a crosser to slant combo. So what I'm going to do is put RB on a streak. I'm going to put A on a delay fade, and then I'm going to obviously block my running back to cancel the play action. The last adjustment is put B on a slant route. What you actually do is you motion him over like this, and then you can go ahead and motion hike him once he crosses there. Again, I could check down to my drag. We just got the worst animation of all time. I'm not sure if that was an overthrow or he just didn't jump. But again, throwing those drag routes across the field is a risky thing, so be careful about that. But again, here's a look at the setup. Mainly, you're not really going to throw that drag. It's to actually open up the slant route. So you want to throw the slant or the crossing route right here. Look at the crosser just get wide open against that cover 2 defense. And if you notice someone playing their zone drop super high, what you could do is just throw A on an in route and then maybe RB on the drag, B on the slant still. Again, you have a lot of crossing routes in this scheme, but you have 2 high-low reads, so if they are playing very far over the top, that's a route that you could definitely throw. Look at the slant route. Oh, geez, that just got lurked through that super late. But with the slant route, typically the mid-read won't play that. I believe that is a mid-read right there. Typically, they won't have a mid-read even on the field, but if they do, you want to throw the slant as quickly as possible. And again, that might have just been the vert hook. I might be tripping. It actually is the vert hook, so I guess that's my fault. But there you see the drag getting wide open. Of course, he drops the ball. But trust me, this is a decent play. Obviously, I like this tight end spot better, but if you want to pick up bigger yards, if you're in like a 3rd and 10, you don't want to go into shotgun, this is definitely a play you could run to pick it up. I'll show it one more time here. And again, you can always mix up your adjustments. You don't have to do, obviously, the same adjustments every play. I can maybe go with something like this, where I just put A on a streak, RB on a drag, and then I put B on this out route. I would obviously motion him over, create sort of a crosser to in route concept, and I can also do that with my tight end, something like this, and then maybe streak him. Again, just mix in different things. Obviously, you do want some fast tight ends for the scheme. I did forget to mention that, but you see the crosser getting open every time down the field. Make sure you get fast tight ends. You'll be good to go. Get a Darren Waller and get a Noah Fant or whatever. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for more, and peace. I'm out of here.